If you thought the last episode of Sakamoto Days was wild, buckle up. Episode 21 cranks the tension, twists, and teamwork up several notches. Today, we're diving deep into every intense moment, every mind-bending fight, and that exhilarating ending that sets the stage for what's next. Let's break it all down. Spoiler warning in full effect. Right from the jump, this episode wastes no time. We open to a tense, almost comical sigh from Gaku, hinting that he's already annoyed with the so-called school teacher types. The usual, right? But that banter barely lasts a moment before the bullets start flying and chaos unfurls everywhere. Shin, our psychic would-be hero, is thrust right back into the madness. Now, if you've been following, Shin's whole arc is about trying to be more than just Sakamoto's sidekick. He desperately wants to be someone who can carry his own weight in these deadly games. But as the battle heats up, it quickly becomes clear that their opponent isn't just tough, he's strange. Shin can't read this guy's mind, which throws him completely off balance. That's odd, right? For someone who's always relied on his clairvoyance, this is like going blind in the middle of a storm. Mafuyu, Shin's tag-along with a cocky streak, even suggests that maybe now is a good time to quit. They're young, plenty of future left to not get killed today. But Shin, absolutely refusing to bail, digs deep, declaring he can't grow stronger unless he faces danger head-on. Mafuyu and the others stay with him. It's messy teamwork, but it's teamwork all the same. Now, here's where the episode really starts to peel back the layers. Kaji, another student caught up in this whirlwind, tries to figure out who their opponent actually is. Kaji notices this mysterious, motionless guy and catches an odd mechanical sound, almost like someone is being remotely controlled. Kaji is reluctant to say it out loud, not wanting to sound insane, but the suspicion is there. Meanwhile, Torimaru and Mafuyu jump in on the action, but no matter how hard they hit, their enemy barely flinches. It's like he's not even there, more puppet than person. Behind the chaos, Kashima and Gaku, two high-ranking antagonists, coldly discuss how their minion is just some part-timer they found on the internet, posted as if flexibility was the main requirement. The tone is chilling, almost mocking. This isn't about honor or rivalry, it's about power and control, and everyone else is just a disposable pawn on a game board. But Gaku isn't satisfied with passivity. He wants real challengers and promises to basically recruit by pain. If you survive, you get a job. Back in the action, we're starting to see real strain among the heroes. Mafuyu and Shin are getting trashed, but refuse to let their resolve break. Kaji stands apart, envious and frustrated by his own hesitation. Why do Shin and Mafuyu keep risking it all, even when it looks hopeless? That's the question that haunts him, and it's the emotional core of this episode. Kaji's always so scared of making mistakes that he ends up doing nothing at all. But Shin, undaunted, overhears Kaji's worry and uses it to encourage him. If you're going to feel embarrassed anyway, why not just try? This simple little nudge becomes the catalyst for Kaji's transformation. Shin and Kaji come up with a plan. Kaji has a sharp sense of hearing, and Shin can read minds. If they work together, Kaji can predict the movements of the remotely controlled fighter, and Shin can react for both of them. But here's the catch, the guy's control has a built-in delay, about half a second between command and movement, which is just long enough for a coordinated pair to dodge or counterattack. This sequence is tightly animated, full of desperate dodges and heavy hits. Just as it starts to work, they run into the reality of their own limits. Kaji's thoughts are too slow to relay perfectly, and Shin's psychic powers can't bridge every gap. The episode plays out this frantic struggle for synchronization. Shin remembers a past fight at a theme park where Sakamoto invisibly guided him and realizes he needs to be more proactive. Instead of just reacting, he taps into his clairvoyance to look into Kaji's immediate future, effectively becoming his own coach in real time. As this mind meld kicks in, Kaji reveals an ace up his sleeve. He can mimic opponents' attacks perfectly, just from the sounds they make. It's almost supernatural, and against normal enemies, that alone would be enough. But Gaku and Kashima, watching through the puppet, aren't ordinary baddies. Even as their plan comes together, Kashima suggests disrupting Kaji's trick with music, but Gaku, ever the thrill seeker, refuses to ruin the fun with Kashima's moody playlist, a moment of levity that breaks up the relentless tension. What follows is a beautifully choreographed seesaw of hope and disaster. The heroes nearly corner the puppet fighter, driving him back until he literally runs out of room. But Gaku, sensing defeat, snaps and starts to break his own puppet, willing to destroy it rather than admit a loss. In a gut punch moment, Kaji is gravely injured, and for a split second, Shin is convinced it's over. He's spent, his powers faltering, and all hope seems lost. You can feel the weight of failure pressing in, and then, like a thunderbolt, Sakamoto himself arrives. The legendary assassin, the one who swore off violence for a humble life, is suddenly back in the fold. His mere presence flips the script. Enemies freeze. Our battered heroes sigh with relief, and the atmosphere crackles. Gaku, far from afraid, is actually excited. He's encountered Sakamoto at the legendary JA before and has been craving a real fight, one against a true legend. Kashima, on the other hand, is on the verge of panic, terrified of what Sakamoto might do. Sakamoto steps in with typical coolness. He tells Shin to take Kaji and flee, but crucially, he says he trusts Shin to handle things. Where Shin felt like dead weight moments ago, now he's being relied upon, and it changes everything. Sakamoto faces down Gaku by a rushing underground river, warning him that anyone who harms his friends will be deported. The word might sound light, but there's no mistaking the threat. Sakamoto launches into action, and as blows are exchanged, you see why he was once the world's most feared assassin. Every frame screams confidence and brute skill. Gaku, even as he's battered, is more convinced than ever that Sakamoto is a problem he needs to solve. The sooner, the better. As the episode concludes, Sakamoto stands triumphant, and the balance of power feels massively altered. So, if you zoom out for a second, what's the story here? This episode is a masterclass in building stakes. You've got Shin desperately learning what it means to take initiative, Kaji finally breaking from his self-doubt, and Sakamoto sweeping in to remind everyone where the true center of power lies. The twists aren't just about who wins a fight, but about how teamwork, self-belief, and old friendships shape the outcome. Even the villains get more depth through casual, darkly funny conversations, showing they're not just evil. They're human, stubborn, and even a little goofy. To wrap it all up, Sakamoto Days Episode 21 is an electrifying, emotional roller coaster, balancing action, character growth, teamwork, and humor all in one fantastic package. You end up rooting harder than ever for Shin and his friends, and you just know things are only getting bigger from here. Did that recap get your adrenaline going? I want to know your favorite moment. Drop it down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button, share it with your fellow Sakamoto Days fans, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a breakdown. Catch you in the next one.